Assalamu alaikum and welcome to The Entrepreneur, the show where we have the privilege of meeting successful individuals and learn about their success stories. Today we have with us Mr. Afaz Mia, who is the Managing Director of UKAY International Group of Companies. I'd like to welcome him to you all. Assalamu alaikum, Afaz bhai. It's a pleasure of having you here today. Thank you once again for coming. Now on the show, obviously, we speak about successful individuals who have made it a success in their lives, and how they made it a success is what we want to learn, so we can benefit our viewers and the people who are watching, obviously. So tell us today, from the beginning, how and what kind of business are you involved in?
I'm involved in 22-karat gold jewelry business, sari shop, fish and meat bazaar,
Right.
properties,
Okay.
money transfers,
Okay.
and
So quite a lot.
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
And you enjoy doing all that?
Business is for enjoyment. If you don't enjoy in it, you don't.
Passion.
Yeah, it's a passion.
Passion, absolutely.
If you don't
What
enjoy
was-
it, you don't make success of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what was the first business that you started off with, and why did you go into such a business? What was the passion behind it?
The first business I started with was leather garment manufacturing.
Okay.
I used to go to college, then I used to come and work in a place.
So that was quite a long time ago.
Long
I mean,
time.
not to make you sound very old, but
Yeah,
quite a long. If you give us a slight time frame, then we can understand.
Well, I'm in business for last 38 years.
For last 30 years. So we're talking about 30 years ago.
38 years.
38 years. So sorry, correction there. So 38 years. So mashallah, it's a long time.
Yeah.
So you used to go to college, you said, and then you from
Well,
college.
I started in this country. I came in early 70s. I started from
Wow.
primary school.
Okay.
We used to live in up north.
Right.
Moved to London in 1973.
Okay.
And I went to secondary school, college. I qualified as a motor mechanics.
Motor mechanics.
Motor
okay.
mechanics.
Right.
And but I used to, when I was in school, I used to go to. My dad used to work in a garment factory, so I used to go and see him there.
Okay.
And after the school time.
So you saw what he was doing in the garment factory. You picked up a few ideas. Now, as you were a student in college, most entrepreneurs, they always have big dreams. Did you have such a dream? Did you think that I'm going to work for somebody, or I'll be academically successful, or did you always have the plan of going into business?
It's your inner instinct. Sometimes you have that sort of feeling. So
Yeah.
I was always in the sense that one day, I'll be going to a business. So
Okay.
that was thinking always behind.
Right.
But motor mechanics is one that I wanted to do. Motor mechanics. I wanted to
Okay.
become a.
You like cars?
mechanic. Yeah, cars. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I went into motor mechanics as a study.
But luckily for you, you didn't have to get your hands so dirty. You've learned the trade. As we spoke off the set, you spoke to me about you've learned the trade. However, you never needed to maybe do an oil change.
No, I didn't. I never needed to do it. No,
Okay.
because I went into garment manufacturing.
Okay. So tell us a bit about that. The garment manufacturing. How long did you have that for? And what was the success rate of that?
Alhamdulillah, I was very successful in garment.
Okay.
We started as a CMT, cut, make, and trim. Then I went to manufacturing. I used to do specialized stuff like it was a motorcycle garment.
Wow. So you used to get orders from companies.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
motorcycle garment. It was not everybody did this.
Right.
It was very difficult to make because of the hard leather and things like that. So alhamdulillah, we became very successful on that trade. And from
So,
I did that for about 10 years.
Okay. So why did you move on from that?
Well, in business, you always look. Sometimes you look for other venues, see what
Okay.
is better and things like that. Because I was in Whitechapel Road.
Yeah.
My garment factory was in Whitechapel Road. Then
Okay.
we had and that time there was a lot of Whitechapel Road has always been a Bangladeshi populated
Bangladeshi,
people.
yeah, of course, yes.
So we opened a grocery shop in Shadwell Garden that time.
Okay.
Shadwell Garden.
So from garments, you moved.
Now I was still in garment,
So
but
you
I became a partner in.
So this was the second venture, right?
In a grocery shop.
Right.
It was in Shadwell Garden. It was called Shadwell Grocery at that time.
Okay.
And from then on, we opened another grocery in Whitechapel Road, and we left the garment trade because we found that one a bit easier in a way.
So basically another door opened,
Yeah.
and it wasn't because you failed in that. I mean, you were successful in that trade.
Well,
however, you moved on to something else.
We was very successful in leather garment, but
Right.
we did not have time for ourselves because if you're in a manufacturing trade, there are a lot of difficulties.
The workload was quite-
workload too much, so
Right.
so we changed into this, and from there, one after
So you
another.
basically now you mastered the garment trade, if you like, right?
Well, yeah,
and
in a way,
then and then you thought, okay, that there are other avenues, and that's the way to sort of go up the ladder. If you
yeah,
like.
in a leather garment, we used to supply big people at that time. Louis Leather, Motorcycle, City. They had so many shops in in a lot of places all over the UK.
Right.
So we used to supply them. We used to supply them in shows. So alhamdulillah, was very successful in leather
Interesting.
garment. Yeah.
Very interesting. So you were quite well known.
Yeah.
I mean, we can speak about the garment industry for a moment, but you've got other ventures that you went into. What you mentioned, the grocery.
Yeah.
So you went in the grocery, and then there's quite a few. There's a big list of it that you're involved in. So just briefly tell us about not all of them, but as much as you can cover.
Well, after the grocery shop, grocery shop was still there. Then we've opened another sari shop because there was a great need for sari shop in Whitechapel Road. So we opened a sari shop.
Especially our Bengali population.
Under the name of Momotaz Novelties. So we ran that for quite some time. And then we moved into another property which became vacated in Whitechapel Road with the sari shop.
Right.
And from there on, it was in my mind to do something else if I could. And the place came available in Whitechapel Road. So we opened a jewelry shop.
Okay.
Although a lot of people were, at that time, there was no Bangladeshi people in the jewelry shop at that time, or jewelry business.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine,
It was mainly dominated by Indian people.
Mm.
In that business,
The Patels.
well, it's all these people are brothers from India. They are
Mainly
all
India.
yeah. It's,
Okay.
places like Greenwich, you might see different businesses,
Yes.
but they're all,
It's all intertwined.
It's all interrelated. They are related. They are proper gold people, or sonar work we call it in Bangladesh. We struggled a lot in that trade to get correct supply because there were a lot of people saying, don't, if you give supply to these people, we will not buy from you and this and that. So we struggled at the moment, but we found, end of the day, we found someone to supply us, and we started from there.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Well, I mean, as all businesses, and for our viewers, business is not easy. As with all businesses, there is always a struggle, and that is actually one of the keys to success. Overcome the struggle, and as Afaz Bhai has mentioned, you've gone through the struggles. Now, there's one particular business. I mean, you've got the meat and bazaar, fish and meat bazaar as well.
Yeah.
So you've ventured into different aspects of business. One thing that interests me is leisure and properties. Now, leisure and properties, how does that go hand in hand?
Well, leisure and properties is basically it's dealing with properties, and we do want to own properties on the leisure side of like sports places.
Okay.
For the banqueting hall and etc. So that's just the we have freehold properties on that.
Okay.
That line.
Yeah, quite interesting. Okay. And also there's money transfer and UK cables. Let's leave out the money transfer. Let's talk about the UK cables limit. Is that quite new?
It's something new that we are doing in Bangladesh. We are in process of manufacturing electric cables.
Right. Okay.
So it's.
How did you get into that, and what do you know about that? Is it something that you learned?
It's not something I've learned. It's something that I think is very potential in Bangladesh.
So basically the potentiality of the. Okay.
Yeah, so we're working on that.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, we've talked about the slightly about the history of business. Now, obviously, I mean, you've got a personal life, you've got a family, and what's quite interesting is I mean, most of your brothers, as you mentioned earlier, off the set, that most of the brothers are in business with you. As a family man, how do you get around juggling the day-to-day, difficulties of business? As a family man?
It's because of my brothers, because of the family. I could do all this business. They are the strength.
They're the backbone, you say.
They are the strength of all the businesses. It's in this country, you need people to establish. So being all my brothers with me, and Alhamdulillah, we're 6 brothers, so it's very beneficial. And because of them, that we are.
You've got the manpower, really, haven't you? I
because
mean,
of
united.
Because of the manpower, Alhamdulillah, that's why we are. We can say we are successful. We don't make that much money, but at least the name is there. So
I'm sure that's not entirely true, but yes. So, in terms of your brothers, and it's quite interesting that I know that all you brothers live together as well, right? In a big, massive house.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. It's like it's like one of those movies that everybody lives in one house, and it's quite difficult to get everybody together these days, let alone all the brothers and the brothers' wives and everything. Tell us a little bit about that. Also, if you can sort of getting the difficulties, the pros and cons of being all being together.
Well, in any walks of life, whether you live with your wife or we live with in a joint family, there is problem, and there are good things, there are bad things.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of good things if you like joint family.
Yeah.
And there are also bad things, so you have to balance everything.
Right.
So thank God, in our life, my mother was there. After my father passed away, so we all lived happily. I won't say there wasn't any problem in life. There's always problem.
Of course.
So.
Of course. But
despite all that,
keeping a family together is not easy, right? I mean, that's a success in its own self. Now, would you say you keeping all your brothers being together and then running the businesses together, that's obviously a beneficial factor. How much would you rate that? How much would you say that this is, how good would this be for other people and for our viewers?
In this country, I think it's a beneficial if you all work together. It's beneficial. Yeah. We happen to be lucky that we are all working together. Yeah. So that was a beneficial. Yeah. Plus the fact my mother was a very intelligent lady.
Okay.
It
helps.
Looking after house is very important. So she played a good role in that. And we was very lucky to have a big house where we could all live. But now all the children are growing up, so we have to find other venues because they're all growing up now. They all want individual rooms, so we'll have to find something else nowadays.
Okay, right. Well, they say mother is the best school, and obviously your mother kept you all together and guided you rightly, and that helped.
Apart from that, everybody understood it's a joint family. The sister-in-laws, the brothers.
This is the thing. People who come from outside,
the brothers, and everybody
they have an understanding.
Yeah, they sort of understood that it's a joint family, so everybody played their part in the family as well. So I thank them all. Okay,
mashallah. So you coped between the business part of it and and the family, and I'm sure it helps. Especially when you've got a base, and this is like a base, and from there because sometimes nowadays obviously you got Skype and you've got the social media and everything, and the technologies out there, but I think it still helps when everybody's together and discuss things sort of directly. It helps definitely. Now tell us slightly about the problems, if you faced any problems in business itself, and how did you overcome these problems? Any specific problem that you faced?
luckily, I didn't. I mean, in business there is ups and downs, and we happened to be in a situation when things came in. We was a little bit well off when the recession and things came up, because the business had.
Which recession was this?
One in 2008. There was one before.
There was one 1992. I think.
There was one before that.
Right.
So we happened to be lucky. We didn't used to have a lot of borrowings at that.
Right.
In the beginning, in 90s.
How were you lucky in contrast to other people who are not so lucky? What was your position, you would say, at that time?
I would say because in any business, if you have too much loans, there is a headache.
Absolutely.
We happen to be lucky that we didn't have a lot of loans, a lot of overhead sort of thing.
So that was
that's what helped us a lot.
I mean, look, if it's when you can avoid loans, obviously it's very helpful. But
I can't say that now.
You can't say the same now.
No.
Okay, so you are all right. Okay, but I mean, when you started at that particular time, you were debt free, if you like.
In a way. Yeah.
In a way, and because of that, it helped. But I know a lot of people, they struggled, and they lost a lot of properties, at that time.
We didn't have much anyway, so it wasn't that.
Okay, you're very modest, very modest, and as all businessmen should be. Now, with your businesses, how did you benefit the community? How did you become, an inspiration? I know a lot of people look up to you. What would you say that you benefit? How did you benefit others?
I don't know how we benefited others, but at least when in opening a shop in Whitechapel Road at that time, it was very advantageous for all the Bangladeshi people, because there wasn't. We was the first Bangladeshi in Whitechapel Road at that time.
Right.
And to open a grocery shop there, it helped a lot of people locally.
That's a benefit. Yeah, that's a benefit.
It helped a lot of people in Whitechapel area to have an Asian shop there, having meat, fish, everything there. Yeah. There were a lot of people from Green Street side who used to do a lot of shopping. People used to come to King Cross, a lot of places there were. It was easy because transport was there and everything. So
I mean, look, we know that people outside of London, they even today they travel all the way to East London to do their meat and fish shopping and stuff like that. So this is what I meant when I said when I asked about benefiting others. People like yourselves, when you opened up such businesses, especially halal businesses with meat and fish and stuff like that, even the sari trade and the jewellery, this is a benefit to the community, especially our community. Now, we know that people struggled in the early 80s, in the early sort of the late 70s and all that. I know my father used to have to travel from one end of London to the other to buy, the halal, and then had to carry all that by bus and so forth. Now, this is definitely a benefit.
Well, I mean, every business we did at that time is all in our mind. It was thinking of the Bangladeshi people.
So it's the
demand beneficial to the Bangladeshi community, plus the demand.
Okay.
Plus, I can't hide it that we didn't make any money. We did make money, but it was beneficial to people. When we opened the jewelry shop, it was very beneficial. I mean, we don't just have customers from UK.
Yeah.
Even in the grocery shop, a lot of people come from France and do a shopping.
Wow.
In the grocery shop.
Yeah, I know. Now, being in Whitechapel, I mean, this is like a hub for the Bengali community, and I know that, like you mentioned, people from France, people from
Italy.
Italy, Europe, and all over the place. People do visit that. Now, because of lack of time, we've got one thing that I did want to speak about, and most businessmen, most entrepreneurs, and most businessmen such as yourself who are successful, they're always involved in some kind of charity. And I can see here you are also involved in a UKAY Bangla humanitarian trust for the poor and needy. How did you start off with that? What was the intention? I mean, well, obviously good intentions are behind charities, but how did you start that off, and how is it going right now?
Well, charity you always give, but we recently thought about 2 years ago to have a setup so we could do things properly. Like before, we used to do in villages where we are nearby places, but by this we could organize things. We could do other places as well. So
tell us like what do you provide for the for the poor and needy?
It's
what do you specialize in?
I mean we on education.
Yeah.
We do education, housing, health,
right.
Especially disabled people.
So the essentials,
yes,
the necessary needs. That's fantastic. I'm sure you're getting a lot of dua.
Inshallah, we hope this is only we are doing to please Allah, and that's the only reason we want to do it.
Right. Okay. So the charity's name is called UKAY Bangla Humanitarian Trust. Yeah.
Mm.
Just for the viewers, if you ever come across that, please do not hesitate to donate. Right. So we've mentioned a few. We've gone through history of your business, personal life. It's quite interesting. I mean, like I said, we can, carry on talking about these things, and it's very, very interesting. And we've mentioned that the problems faced. As a businessman, what kind of future plans do you have? Any future plans?
Well, we are coming to age. Do we have future? We have.
So your future plan might be, okay, let's retire now. I made a lot of money, and or is it just to extend more?
I don't think I can ever. I can ever retire. I don't have this sort of thinking in my head. I'll probably be working all the time. That's sort of. But I want to do a lot of charity work if I can.
Okay. So that's your future plan.
My future plan is
a lot of charity work. Help the community, help the needy.
If Allah gives me tawfiq to do.
And that's a legacy that you can leave behind.
Inshallah.
Hopefully. Okay. Well, it's a great pleasure to have you again. And because of lack of time, just one more thing. Any tips quickly? I just remember the part of any tips you would give the future business entrepreneurs who would like to be successful like yourself?
I say
in 2 or 3 words.
I would say, before you do any business, think about it.
Yeah.
Have an intention of working more hours than the people you employ.
Okay.
Because especially in Asian business.
Yep.
So that's most important that you give the time.
Yep.
Time is important, and
right.
Honesty is best policy.
Yep. Okay, fantastic.
And whatever you sell or do, try to be honest with people. Give them the good stuff. Yeah. Eventually it will come to you.
Honesty is the best policy. Honesty is the best policy, viewers. Okay, well, Afaz Bhai, really, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. And next week we will have another individual just like Afaz Bhai, who will be telling us about his success stories and how he became so successful. And hopefully we can benefit from that. So thank you to our viewers, and Afaz Bhai, once again, thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Assalamu alaikum.